Welcome in, everybody. Time for a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. We have to make sure that Stacey stays hydrated. You know, with your busy travel schedule, gotta make sure you keep up on that water, right?
Man, my little cup is messed up over here. I can't get into the water to come out.
Stacey's cup runneth over.
It
He's
does.
always got good news for Bulls fans and for all his fans across the country. How are things going?
You know what? We got 4 days off, Mark, and I'm happy right now. We hadn't had 4 days off all year. It seems like we've been working like we've been in a sweatshop. It feels good to have some time off. You know, of course, you like to, with that time off, you would like to get some things done, get some laundry done because we've been traveling day in, day out. Also helps the team. You know, the team gets to practice these 3 or 4 days to get some continuity, iron some things out that they're having problems with. So that's good for them too.
Yeah, business never stops, though, for our guy, Timmy Whispers. He's in a closed-door, high-level meeting. We're hoping that he's going to join us in our second segment. That's also when we're going to welcome in Mark Vancil. He has a brand-new book out called The Last Excellent Man, talking about his memories of covering Michael Jordan through the years and what he learned from Jordan that's really helped him become successful in his business today. So that's coming up in a few minutes. But first, I want to talk about what's going on with the Bulls. They had a really good game in beating San Antonio. They made that one-game trip down there, won by 15. Then they came back and couldn't sustain that. I know that's kind of been the story of the season, a lot of ups and downs.
Well, and there were 2 games at home that they should have won. You had 2 teams coming in struggling. Indiana was struggling. I think they had lost 4 in a row before they came in. Philadelphia's been struggling all season. So this was an opportunity for them to, put a string of games together with that San Antonio after having such a positive game against San Antonio, come back home, which they haven't played well at home all season long. They play better on the road. I don't know why. But this was 2 games I thought they would get.
Yeah, their home record has been puzzling because, the United Center is always a great atmosphere, sell out every game. You think that you'd have a really built-in advantage. I mean, when you guys were playing, you won everywhere, of course, but at home you were, unbeatable. What is the mentality of defending your home court like?
Well, it's a mindset, it's a toughness, it's like, hey, you're defending your castle, you're defending your home. No one's going to come into your house and steal your stuff. You're going to make sure that doesn't happen. And when you allow one person to come in and do it, then everybody thinks they can do it. It's just like in the NBA. If you let one team win here, then they think they can win here in Chicago. It's an easy place to win. This used to be a very difficult place for teams to win, even when the Bulls teams weren't that good. When you had Scott Skiles' team here, you had, Vinny Del Negro, you had, Thibodeau's team. Those teams were really, really good at home. They were struggling on the road, but they were good at home.
Well, now it's a situation where, you're looking for consistency from all your players. One guy who's really emerged, especially over the last month or so, has been Ayo Dosunmu. He had his first triple-double in San Antonio. And the thing that I really like about him is when he gets the ball in the open court, he is going right to the rim, and he's going to blow by everybody.
Well, he knows his strength. That's how he played in college. And, the Bulls have not been able to play this kind of style of play since he's been here. It's been more of a methodical half-court game. And it's not that he can't play in that system. He's played well in that system, but he plays even better when it's like the Autobahn. When you let him get out there on that wing, you put the ball in his hands and let him go. I think what he's shown throughout this season so far is that he's not a bad, viable option at a point guard. I mean, he's not just a combo guard. It's a kid that can actually play point guard, get his teammates involved. That was evident by the triple-double. And I think the more minutes he gets, the more consistent minutes he gets, any young player, consistent minutes, you're going to get consistent play. And I think you've been able to see that with Ayo over his career. He's getting consistent minutes. He's the Bulls' best on-ball defender, if you ask me, as far as the guards are concerned. Like, he's a lockdown defender. That's something in his game he had coming into from college and then his offensive game had to catch up. So now he's a balanced player. And you can see all the hard work has paid off for him, and he competes. He loves to play. He competes. He takes it personal. I think being a second-round pick still has that. He has that chip on his shoulder that he has to prove himself against some of the guys that got drafted before him. So kudos to Ayo, man. He's one of my favorites.
We talked a lot about Modest Buzelis on the last show. He had a number of good games. He was scoring in double figures, knocking down three-point shots. Kind of got waylaid when he got caught with friendly fire when Zach accidentally hit him with an elbow. And then the game against Indiana, he really struggled with that face mask. And then in the Philadelphia game, he was matched up with Paul George a lot. He's had to guard Giannis. He's had to guard so many good forwards around the league. It's really a baptism under fire for a kid like Modest.
Well, he's got to get used to it. He's a talented kid. There's no nights off at those positions at 3, 4. position. There's no nights off. There's killers every single night at that position, and he's getting a chance to play. He's getting a chance to go out there and compete. And there's going to be nights he's going to look great, and there's going to be nights he's going to look like a 20-year-old rookie that doesn't have a lot of experience. I think he's gotten better. I think his play is a little bit more consistent now that he knows that he's going to play. He knows he's going to go, he's not in there for 1 or 2 minutes and he gets pulled. He's in there for stretches now, 6-7 minute stretches where you can relax, Mark, when you're playing 6 or 7 minutes straight and let the game come to you. When you're out there for 1 minute or 2 minutes, you feel like you got to do something spectacular to make the coach keep you on the floor. So you put all this added pressure on yourself in a 2-minute span to go out there and go, I got to show why I should be playing. I got to show why I'm the number one pick. And then you go out there and you start making mistakes and making errors because you're so caught up in what you have to do in that little 2-minute stretch instead of just playing.
What was that like for you when you first came into the league? I mean, I'm sure that when you're only getting short minutes, every time you hear that horn go off, you're kind of looking, going, they better not be coming for me, right?
Yeah. You look over your shoulder. I mean, I think every reserve that I played with, we all did it. You know, and you'd be like, you see somebody go, and you'd be like, oh, man.
Yeah, I just broke a sweat.
Yeah. But you know what? That's the role you have to play. Like, we had to play that role to be on a championship caliber team, because you knew where your bread was buttered. It's Michael Jordan, Scotty. Then you got Horace and you got Bill Cartwright and Paxson. Those were your veteran guys.
Scott Williams and Cliff Levingston.
So we all knew our role. And you knew if you were playing, if our bench was playing well, we stayed out there. If one of us was struggling, we all got pulled out, which is kind of bad because I didn't think that was fair. If one guy is struggling in one aspect of the game, why do we all got to come out? So because the field will look at, well, my second team, we had a 10-point lead. Now we got a 4-point lead. Yeah. But it's not that the one person was getting killed on defense. That's why we got to come out. So we, you go to the bench going, well, that sucks. Like, I'm guarding my man, I'm scoring, but we're coming out because this guy is not guarding. But it's a team thing. And so that taught us that when we come out there on the floor, we have to come out as a unit. We have to come out there and play together and help each other out. When you hear me talk about team defense, that's what I'm talking about. You have to cover up for guys who may not be very good defensively on ball, individually defenders, but you can make them a very good team defensive players. And so you have to help them out and bring them along the way.
We haven't talked about this too much on the podcast. You were the best, literally, you were the best player in college basketball that year you came out. You go to a Chicago Bulls team that's loaded, and you're not getting shots. Your minutes are up and down. Who did you talk to? Who helped you through all that?
Well, it's funny, Mark, because before I even touched the floor at the old stadium, before I played one game, Jerry Krause told me after they had drafted me, he says, we didn't bring you here to score. We brought you here for your defense, athleticism, block shots. And the first thing I'm thinking in my head, and I didn't say it to him, but the first thing I said, what the hell did you draft me for? Yeah, right. Like, I averaged almost 30 points a game in college. I was one of the top scorers in college basketball. I'm like, I want to score. And he's like, we didn't bring you here to score. So get that out of your mind. We want you to focus on defense. And I'm not, my first year, I was on the second team all-rookie team. I played all 82 games as a rookie, which I take pride in that. And I was the sixth man, and I played one position. I played power forward. And I was sharing minutes with Horace Grant. We split minutes at my first year. And so my second year, Phil wanted me to start playing a little bit more back to the basket and play center because I could play back to the basket as well as play facing the four. So I started, Bill was getting old. They wanted to rest Bill a little bit more. So they started, gearing me up to play more center. And I played more center than I played power forward my second year. And then I was taking a beating with all these big dudes.
Yeah,
you're going to Brad Doherty. You're going to Brad Doherty, Kevin Duckworth, Pat Ewing. Yeah. I mean, these guys were huge. And so, I was 6'10", 230. I was getting my butt kicked and beaten up. So I felt like I had to gain weight to play down there. And so, and I didn't really like playing there, but if it meant give me some minutes and whatever the team needed, and it's going to get me on the floor, I'll do what I have to do. And that's why I tell young players all the time, the grass ain't always greener on the other side. Sometimes you say, oh, I want to leave here to go somewhere else. And you realize, I realized very quickly, everything that's glitter is not gold. When I got traded to Minnesota, I went from the penthouse to the outhouse. That's how big of a drop it was. Yeah. I'm literally at the top floor looking at a high rise, and I get on the elevator, and there is no elevator. I just drop straight down to the bottom. And you just saw the difference between organizations. You saw the difference between the professionalism that the players play with. Guys taking the game seriously, guys coming out like we're here on a business trip. Guys dress Today you see guys, it's like a fashion show. They're printing and pramming. Yeah. We came in, man, we were hired killers. We were assassins. We called, man, we come in suited up. Everybody would have suits on, suits and ties, and we'd walk in that arena. You knew we were there for business. Yeah. There was none of that, oh, let's see what I'm wearing. Oh, yeah, see, look at Ben Simmons right there. We weren't doing any of that. We didn't care anything about that, Mark. We was just cared about, like, we wanted to come in there. First of all, we were professional athletes. We set the tone. This is how you're supposed to look. All the leagues started copying that. Like, oh, man, the Bulls wearing suits everywhere because Michael was doing it. So we all did it. And so we come to arenas, man, it was all business. We weren't out here to be your friends. So we come in like assassins, tear up your city, take the gold, and we go on to the next one. And we'd be out that locker room about 35 minutes on the plane to the next place and getting ready to do it again. The mindset nowadays and being around these guys is a little bit different, because all these guys are friends. All these guys work out with one another. They hang out with one another. They go on, they hang out and go on vacation with one another. They work out together. We didn't do any of that stuff. Like, we worked out with ourselves as a team. Yeah. We were trying to beat everybody else. We weren't trying to be friends. Michael and MJ were friends on the Olympic team. But when it came time, New York versus Chicago, there's no friends. Like, we're not friends. I'm trying to kill you, trying to kill me. Rivalries were intense. You don't have rivalries anymore. Think about in this day and age, what rivalries do you have? Any team, think of any team there's a rivalry, a really knockdown, drag out rivalry. There's none. There really is. There's none. The fans don't get into it like they used to. I mean, you walk in New York. I mean, I said this on the podcast early. You walk in New York and ask for directions somewhere. Hey, excuse me, can you tell me where Sal's Pizza is? The guy say, what the hell, I look like a damn phone book? You're like, damn, dude, I'm just asking you where the, they'd be ready to fight you. Or try to catch a cab somewhere in the city and you're flagging people down, hey, and they know you're Chicago Bulls. The cab just keep running right by you. It wouldn't even stop. For like 30 minutes, one day, me and BJ were sitting outside in Times Square, freezing our butts off because they would not stop to pick us up because we had Bulls paraphernalia on, sweats on. And then a messenger, one of the little messengers on the bike came riding by, and he said, hey, you know why you guys are not catching the cab? And the first thing I said, because it was black. That's what I said, because that's the only thing I could think of. And then he said, no, it's not because of that. It says you got that bullshit on. Yeah. And I was like, bullshit. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, the clothes. No one's gonna pick you up wearing that Chicago Bulls stuff. Yeah. So he said, take your tops off. I guarantee you catch a cab. Swear to God, Mark. Took the tops off. We got white beaters on. It's freezing. Within a minute, cab comes, picks us up, takes us to the hotel. But that's how intense the rivalry. Even to this day, Mark. I was teasing somebody the other day because you've been in Detroit. And you seen where we stay at, and we stay in some nice places. But even in those cities like that, we didn't go out to eat dinner in those cities. To this day, I don't go out in Detroit because I'm scared there might be some reminiscences of those bad boy days. Somebody try to take me out. Somebody try to poison my food.
Hey, before we bring in our guest, Mark Vancil, I want to ask you about what's coming up for the Bulls. They've got a home game against Charlotte on Friday. Then they go to Toronto and Boston. Boston's a home and home. 3 days of practice. What do you think they're going to get accomplished and get ready for this stretch?
Well, I think the main focus right now should be on these younger kids, getting these guys up to speed on the rotations defensively, where they're supposed to be, the talking. And the whole team needs to do better at communicating defensively. They don't know how important it is when people talk. When you see the good teams out there and you watch them when the Bulls play good teams, you hear their players talking, screen left, pick right, watch your back, sit him right, sit him left. That helps so much, tremendously helps the defender know what's going on behind him. Because if I'm in here guarding you like this, I can't see behind you unless I turn around. And sometimes you watch the Bulls players, they never know when the screen is coming. So when the screen comes now and they got hit the first time, now the next time they're doing this. They're looking over their shoulder to try to see where it's coming because no one's communicating with them. So then what happens when I turn my head to see where the screen is, the guard goes the opposite direction. Now you beat off the dribble. So that's something I think they've got to address. And then also, the three-point shooting, that's great. They're getting up 40s plus three-point shots tonight. But they also got to understand what's a good shot. What's a good three-point shot? I think right now they're just firing them up. They're guarded. They got guys in their faces. They're just letting them go. And it's like, okay, I get the concept and the rationale behind what you're trying to do, but you're passing up a lot of two-point opportunities in the meantime, like a drive to the basket. You'll see a guy have a layup. All of a sudden, he'll throw the ball back out to someone for a three-point shot. Now, if that's Steph Curry, if that's Kevin Durant, if that's Klay Thompson in that corner, do it. Okay. But I don't know if I'm going to throw that ball out to someone who's shooting 29%. And you should know who's shooting threes on your team. As a guard, you should know which guys like to shoot where's their favorite spots at. You should know that if you're a guard. Any guard on the Bulls team should know that.
So it'll be an interesting stretch coming up. A couple of games that on paper you think they've got a good chance to win, and then 2 against the defending world champion Celtics. So we'll talk more hoops a little bit later. Our guest is standing by, Mark Vancil, who wrote the book The Last Excellent Man. He's coming next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. But first, I want to tell you about our great sponsor, Jeff Vukovic. When it comes to being treated like royalty, Jeff will take care of you for all your auto, home, and business needs. Make sure to contact nationwide agent Jeff Vukovic. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com, jeffvuk.com. The phone number, 847-825-4783. Stacey, got a jingle for us.
Nationwide is on your side.
We appreciate our good buddy, Jeff Vukovic. Keep it right here. Coming up next, Mark Vancil joins us to talk about his memories of covering Michael Jordan and a whole lot more. That's next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Welcome back to Gimme the Hot Sauce. Rolls on. And look who showed up, Timmy Whispers. You were missing in action last week. Now you got high-level business deals. I mean, we barely know you anymore.
I know, it never ends, Mark. I mean, when you're making deals, you got to stick to the plan and get shit done.
So you have to speak multiple languages now to close all these deals?
Well, I'm still speaking the same primary ones, English and bullshit. So.
Oh my God, he's like that butler on Mr. Deeds. He just pops up. You know, he just shows up out of nowhere. That's him. I look over to my left. He wasn't here, and all of a sudden he pops up with his little disco Danny Terrio shirt on.
Well, look at you with the quicker picker upper, Mr.
Hey,
Bounty here.
You know what? Hey, it's cold outside, brother. Okay. That's why I got my bounty shirt
chop
on.
some wood after the show?
I probably will.
But I know not grabbing a snow shovel, are you?
No, I'm not grabbing any
Not
snow.
a chance.
No, those days are over.
Never touched one.
No, never touched one. I don't even know what it looks
you ever
like.
felt a grip on one?
I felt a grip on a lot of things, but it's not no shovel.
Oh, boy.
So Whispers, how do you have time to do your Christmas shopping, all this stuff? You're always somewhere.
I let my fingers do the walking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Amazon is fantastic.
Oh, you ain't lying. Everything's online.
That's
now.
why all these malls across the country have closed down.
Because of people like you.
Yeah, because you won't go out and shop.
You won't go out and
right.
shop.
Yeah.
I don't have
Selfish
to touch it.
Bastard.
Just send that return label with it. I'm good.
Wow.
Well, the one thing you're good at, though, is packing up the hot sauce. We appreciate that.
That's right.
Yeah.
A lot
The
has
hot
gone
sauce
out.
packer.
Hey, and your boy down in Oklahoma there in Cordell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took another big order. Put a couple extra bottles in for him.
Shout out to Mickey
great
Allen.
customer. Yeah, he's our biggest customer.
Yeah, he's a loyal customer.
Orders 20 bottles at a time.
Oh,
So
wow.
make sure you put your orders in. Go to GimmeTheHotSauce.com. Get it in time for the holidays, as long as Whispers isn't too busy having high-level business deals. You got to pack up that sauce.
That's one of the business deals.
Yes. Always working. Always working.
A great gift to put in your Christmas stocking. You know what another great gift is? The joy of reading. And we've got a great book to tell you about. Mark Vancil, best-selling author, is kind enough to join us, spend a few minutes with us. Mark, welcome in. I know you're still in the Chicago area. You covered the Bulls back when Michael Jordan broke in 1984. Kind of interesting that you guys kind of started at the same time and developed a friendship. How did that all work out? I mean, Michael became one of the biggest names in sports, and yet you were able to develop that personal touch with him.
You know, I've been thinking about that, since this book has come out, and I've been asked about it a couple times. I never asked him for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And as Stacey knows, everybody was asking him for things.
Yeah.
Everywhere, every day. And I just saw what his life looked like and thought, well, first of all, I was a journalist, so that was relatively easy, but I just didn't want to be one of those guys asking for an autograph or anything else. I mean, I just needed him for what I needed him for. That maybe that's how we sort of built the trust. I'm not sure.
So you're like one of the rare people that got the chance to know Michael when he first came in into, before he got to superstardom. He was a star coming from college, but he wasn't a superstar yet. What was the difference between when you first met him and how much did he grow and develop into the person that we know today from that point?
That's a great question. He was great from the minute he stepped on the floor. And by the time you got there, Stacey, the league was cleaning itself up quite a bit. and
Yeah.
the Bulls had cleaned themselves up quite a bit. But in those first couple of years, I mean, there was still a lot of guys doing drugs and various other things. And so he was unguarded. Like you could talk to him. I'll give you an example. The supposed freeze out at the 1985, his first year, Indianapolis All-Star game. When I went to the practice facility, which was awful,
That
the
was.
next the next day, I mean, he was on the verge of tears. I mean, he couldn't believe that someone would accuse him of not trying to win or seeing himself above the team. And that, well, he was a young guy too, but that sort of vulnerability, you know, became hardened over time, as you could imagine. But I will say that desire to win and to compete was the same the first day I saw him to the last day I saw him. And that was in Washington. And he was, on two broken legs, basically. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you mentioned the drug issues in the league in the mid '80s. Michael came in, kind of a country guy, and he had to adjust to life in the big city. How did he deal with? He had to know what was going on all around him with teammates using drugs and guys not taking their job seriously. And he was so competitive and motivated to win during those early years. How did he deal with the guys that frankly didn't take their careers as serious as they should have?
That's another great question. He adapted. I think if he had been a little older, he would have confronted those guys. But I'm talking about Orlando Woolridge,
Quentin Daly.
Quentin Daly, and I'll tell you a quick story. Before they went and played the '85, they got into the playoffs barely in '85, and I think they played Boston in the first round. And Stan Albeck was the coach, and he had these brutal practices. And we used to be, there's only two people, me and the Tribune guy. You were able to sit and actually watch it. And he'd throw the ball up, and it was like there was no fouls. And these guys were throwing each other around, and Dave Corzine and Quentin Daly kind of squared off, and everybody was afraid of Quentin. And Michael was in the mix, but just kind of he did his own thing. But you're right, he was aware of what was going on, and I'm sure he didn't feel like he had the gravitas
Yeah.
to confront them.
Talk a little bit about when he broke his foot, and that had to be one of the most difficult things for him, knowing Michael like I know, and how you know him. Talk a little bit about that season when basically the Bulls wanted to shut him down completely and let him heal up completely. And he kind of went on his own as he started getting better and started rehabbing on his own, playing pickup games out in North Carolina. And I know that didn't sit well with Jerry Krause and the rest of the Bulls. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was like taking a stallion and put him in a small box. He couldn't do anything. He had his foot in a cast for, gosh, months. But I mean, this, Stacey. I mean, he knew his body so well. One of the things I'm amazed about him, and I'm getting to your question, is, you see guys today where they get a sprained ankle and they're not back for 3 weeks, or they have a little knee tendonitis and it's a month. He had stuff that I'm sure you saw that, would have sidelined an average guy for a long time, and he played through it. And so it's like he had some interesting understanding of his body and how, how it felt. So when the cast came off, he did everything he was supposed to do. And then he started playing down in North Carolina. And I remember one night he had been playing and no one knew. And we were at Jerry Reinsdorf's business office at midnight on a conference call that Krause and Reinsdorf let us, the reporters, listen into with the three doctors. The whole thing was absurd. Um, and 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 then it came out that he had been playing, and they were furious, and then that, I don't know if well, I'm sure you remember, but it's 7 minutes a half and then 8 minutes a half. There was a game in Indianapolis. In those days, we got to sit like right by the bench, and Stan Albeck knew he was going to get fired, and he was told, if you play him 1 second over, whatever the number was at that day, 10 minutes, you're fired on the spot. So the Bulls are down by maybe 3 points, and the clock is like at 1:31. If it goes to 1:29, it's a whole minute, and Albeck is fired on the spot. So he takes Jordan out, and the fans are like, "Are you an idiot?" They're screaming, "What's wrong with you? You're an idiot." And I think the Bulls lost, and they did. Yeah, you guys did. And Michael was furious, and so was Stan. And I can't repeat, I'm pretty sure what Stan said, but he was trying to get thrown out. And the first thing he said should have got him thrown out. The second thing he said, and you can only imagine, did get him thrown out. And he looked over at us and kind of smiled and walked into that locker room. But it was just, the whole thing was so crazy. Anyway.
I'm curious what your reflections are of how Michael changed after his first retirement. The tragic death of his father, and the gambling allegations, and all the things that were talked about in the media. I remember, I came to Chicago in 1990. I remember you used to be able to go into the locker room and you could talk to Michael, sit down next to him. He'd talk about anything.
Yeah.
After that, he changed a lot. He was only available for organized press availabilities, and he was a lot more wary of people that were in his aura. But you had that relationship with him, obviously. How did you see him change, and how much was he stung by all the negative things that were surrounding him after his first retirement?
You know what I would say, again, something that was amazing about him was, and I'm sure he was stung by it, but he let it roll off his back. If someone wrote something that he didn't like, it was gone in a day. Like, he didn't carry it with him. He didn't say, "I'm not going to talk to you anymore," or he didn't yell at anybody, maybe once or twice in his entire career. And by the point, you got to remember, he got a lot of negative things written about him. Not very kind at all about him going to play baseball. And the gambling stuff was just ridiculous, on the face of it. Or at least the part tied to his father, as a couple radio stations, not here, well, one here, but sort of speculated that that's why his father was killed. And I think that was just so disgusting to him, that it rolled off his back, and he focused on in the way that he always focused, and went right back at it. And Stacey will remember some of these things, but I can't remember. I think Space Jam was 1990 or 91.
No, it was later. That was after they got knocked out by Orlando in
Oh,
the.
that's right. It was when he
So it's
came back.
94.
That's right. It's when he came back. And part of the deal was they had to set up a state-of-the-art gym where they were shooting the film. And he invited all these NBA guys, like Drexler, and all these great players came because, hey, it'll be fun. And none of them really realized that the whole point of it was to use them to get him to where he wanted to be. And the guy in particular was Drexler. And I said, "He actually came?" He said, "Yeah." And I go, "What do you think?" He goes, it'll be fine." It didn't bother him at all. He'd broken him down. He figured out how he played. And Drexler was a big dude. So yeah, I think he grew up in a way that we all have had to, in certain parts of our life that challenge, really our sort of psychological welfare.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we talk about a lot, because we're in this new era of basketball. There's no rivalries, there's no team rivalries, there's no player rivalries, and that's kind of what's missing, I think, in today's game. I think it's missing for fan support. The fans don't get into it as much as they used to. When we were playing, and there was all these rivalries. I was just telling before you came on, like we couldn't even go out in certain cities because the rivalry was so bad. Detroit, New York. Why is it, do you think, that's the way it is now compared to, when Michael was playing? And why is it so different now? Why are these guys not really into that kind of thing?
I think a lot of it has to do with the emergence of social media. And, I remember, I can still remember, tell you how old I am, when the NBA finals were on tape delay
Yeah.
at 10:30 at night. And, now you can watch a game every night of the week if you want to. And I don't know, I think it's kind of blurred the lines between, and players talk to each other. It's probably generational. Um, back in the day, you're right, Stacey, it was, I mean, Bird and Magic and all these great players who never wanted to miss a game, who were really competitive. And the game was different. I tell you, I don't know how you feel about this, but one of the other things I'll say about the game is it's sloppy.
Yeah.
The carrying the ball and traveling is like no one can be stopped if you can palm the ball and take 2 steps
And the
before
Euro
you dribble.
step too. Euro step has come in, and
You
the guys are walking
Yeah,
all over the court.
Or the double
yeah,
step
and
back, or the double step back move, which is
Yeah.
actually a travel, but they never
right,
Two
call
step
it.
right,
back J. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So I have a hard time watching it, honestly, until we get to the playoffs, where it kind of gets tighter, if that's the right word.
You've worked with Michael on several book projects. The new one out that people should pick up for their Christmas gift list. The Last Excellent Man, The Meaning of Our Jordan Year. And the whole thing, that was kind of interesting. The fact that, the meaning of our Jordan year, when someone turns 23 now, it's your Jordan year. I mean, to talk about transcending popular culture and life in general. I mean, you think about the billions of dollars Michael still makes selling shoes and gear. He's, what, how old is he now? 61, and he, he still is so popular in our society. That phenomenon is just amazing to me. What's your read on that?
It is, and I do have a read on it. I think there are certain people. So in 2023, ironically, the word of the year with Merriam-Webster dictionary was authenticity. And if you looked around the culture that year, you had the stuff Taylor Swift was doing, breaking every record that ever existed for concert tour. You had Michael breaking every record for memorabilia. He's 60 years old at the time. And I think there are very few people that touch the rest of us in a way, or that we seem to understand that they are different in a good way. And that year also turned out, I have a business intelligence company, and that year turned out to be a very important year for global geopolitics and economics and things like that too. But the fact that he touches kids who weren't even born.
Yeah.
And my daughter turned 23 that year, and she said, "Yeah, hey, Dad, it's my Jordan year." And I didn't even know I didn't know what it was, and I said, "What's that?" And she explained it, and she goes, "Come on, he's the GOAT." And she would have never seen him play or anything. So it's funny.
Well, I think one of the things, Mark, that's so amazing is that here's a guy that's completely out of the game. Okay, completely out of the game. Has nothing. It sold his interest in Charlotte. No longer in the game at all. His shoe, even to this day,
Yeah.
if you combined every superstar's personal shoe it still would not outsell Michael Jordan's shoe. And a lot of people I thought got reintroduced to him as a player through The Last Dance. I think a lot of people, a lot of the younger generation, they heard their parents talking about him. Yeah, but LeBron's our guy. Kevin Durant's our guy. But when they saw The Last Dance and they started to say, oh, this is the guy that sells the shoes. This is the guy who's on the shoe. Oh, my God. Like, he can play. Whoa. I know what my parents are now saying, that I missed the greatest player that ever played the game. So he's been reintroduced now from that and the movie Air. I thought that movie Air that showed, it was really based off his mother and Sonny Vaccaro, and how that whole Jordan brand got started, because he was close to signing with Adidas and wanted to sign with Adidas, and his mom refused to let him sign with Adidas and ended up making a deal with Nike and got the deal done that Michael currently has now. If it wasn't for his mother, he would have just been another guy just wearing a pair of Nikes. He would not have had a signature shoe, because there's only a couple of guys at that time that had signature shoes, and he would not have been one of them if it wasn't for his mother.
You're right. And the other thing he did, Stacey, and you know this, you can see, I won't mention any names, but you can see some of these guys today who are constantly got their hand out, making $50 million a year, and they can't do enough commercials, and they can't try to sell you enough stuff. And Michael didn't. And not only that, that's why I'm getting back to the authenticity thing. He learned the business. He learned the shoe business. I remember the first book he did was 1993. And he was telling me about women's fashion on the other side of the world. And I just thought, that is the weirdest thing, that this guy would know anything about women's fashion and the technology in the shoes and how it all worked. And there was a time, by the way, around there, a little bit later, where, he was terrified of snakes. If you watch TV with him and a snake came on, he'd change the channel. He goes, if you write that, somebody's going to get killed, because somebody's going to throw a snake one day. And, he was terrified of them.
Yeah, he was afraid of snakes.
Yeah. And they had they did a shoe that had snake skin on it. And he went nuts. It was all that had been approved. It was all the way to the end. He got the final approval, and he looked at it and he goes, you guys are nuts. This isn't off. I'm not, no one would believe. Anybody that knows me knows I'm afraid of snakes. You got to redo all of this. And they did it, and there aren't many, I don't think there's anybody else that ever took the business as serious as he did. And I think, when people are buying this stuff today, you don't see him out, trying to leverage his name to make even more money. It's ironic, isn't it? Where the guy who would have played for free, he has all the money.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head, because it's a different generation now. Guys are basically trying to get on TV as much as they can and sell as much products as possible. And that's why I think the game has changed, because MJ was more concerned about playing on the court. I want to win championships. I'm focused on all that. The other stuff I can do later on. Like I never saw Michael Jordan go do a commercial during the season. That's one thing he never did. He never did any of these commercials during the season. But you see guys will miss 2 or 3 days because they're flying off to do a commercial and they're missing some games, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, you once wrote that Michael Jordan was the very best and with the most effort, being professional as anyone in any given job. And so when you look at that today, that would be true from business and basketball. And that's where you have in our lexicon today, that you're the Jordan of this or the Jordan of that. It could be, a car salesman. You're the Jordan of car salesman. And did he ever tell you anything about that feeling that people use that on such a regular basis, that to reach excellence, you are the Jordan of something?
No, it's funny. Things like that didn't really affect him. Like he wouldn't quite roll his eyes, but it was irrelevant to him. I remember asking him once, though, what's it like being Michael Jordan? And this is after 4 or 5 titles. And he said, do you think you'd want to be Michael Jordan? I said, well, yeah, of course. And he said, yeah, you would for about 30 days. And I said, well, why do you say that? And he said, I can't go ride a bike with my kids because cars pull up by us, and I'm afraid that, there'll be an accident and one of them will get hurt. I can't go to a movie. He listed all these things he couldn't do. And he said, so, I'm sure it sounds good for about 30 days, but it wouldn't be fun.
I tell you
That's
what,
a really interesting and insightful thing.
I tell you what, Mark, this is how I know how powerful he was and how powerful this team was. Because now I travel with, being the broadcaster of the Bulls, I travel everywhere with the team. Okay. So when we pull up in this era or any of the eras after Jordan, we can pull up to a hotel. There might be maybe 10 people waiting for an autograph, waiting for the Bulls to come in, 10 people. Okay. When we played, it was like a rock band. Yeah. It was like the Rolling Stones camp. You're talking 500,000 people. I mean, it could be 2 a.m. in Utah. And that was when they let people go in the hotel. They sit them outside. They let them, because there was bars in the hotel, and they let the people go in the lobby, and you be in the lobby like you just won a championship or something. I remember 2 incidents in one in New York. We just beat the Knicks. We were trying to get home. And you have to leave out of New York at a certain time or you get locked in at night. You have to catch the next plane out the next day. So we're getting ready to leave, and a lady lays in front of the bus, and she's refusing to get up away from the bus, from the tire from the bus, unless Michael Jordan came out and gave her a picture and autograph. And so, we're all sitting like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, you guy, run her over. And then you hear Phil go, Michael, can you get up here and get this lady an autograph and a picture so we can get out of here? And so, Michael got up and did it and, took a picture, didn't fuss about it, went and did it. And we got out of it, and so that's how I know how powerful the presence of him was. I remember my first preseason game was in Buffalo, New York. We always played in like crazy venues. So we were in Buffalo, New York. And I remember me and BJ were doing an interview, and we were last ones off the floor. So all the other guys had got out, because they had family there and whatever. And then Michael was always the last one to leave the locker room. So as we come in, Michael's hurried up and getting dressed, and you hear there's like police officers in there. He said, all right, Mr. Jordan, we're going to escort you out because the fan base is just crazy. They're getting ready to bust the barrier, and they're going to be running here. We're going to get you out here safe. So we're here listening to this like, are you kidding me? So MJ turns like, hey, rookies, y'all better get dressed. Forget taking a shower. Put your clothes on. Let's go, or y'all going to get trampled. So we're like, man, it ain't that serious. It's not that. They're not going to let these people do that. I swear to God, we go out. We go out in the hallway. They have the police with the Riot gear, with the big shields, and they made us get up under the shields to walk out, and you can hear people go, barricade 3 is down, barricade 3 is down, go barricade 1. And we're like, oh my God. And you can hear all these people, get out the way, pig. And they're screaming at the police officers, and they couldn't stop them. And that's when I was like, oh my God. Like I'm in a whole different world. It's like my first game rookie. I'm like, we're in a whole different world from college where I'm from. This is something I've never experienced before in my life. And it was that way all the way to the end. And it's still like that way now. When we go, anywhere you go, if you're on that team, I can go anywhere in the world and be recognized. We were in France a couple seasons ago, and I'm walking on the street. I'm thinking no one in the hell knows me in France, right? And they parlez-vous français, because I always say that when some French guy gets dunked on. So they be, parlez-vous français, Stacey King, Stacey. I'm like, oh, give me the hot sauce. I'm like, oh, Lord, Bulls, noodles, 3P. I'm like, oh, my God. It's amazing that how much of an impact Michael Jordan has made in this game and how much of an impact the Bulls have made in this game, because they're still, to this day, one of the most popular teams out there.
Yeah. He's a funny guy, too.
Oh, he is. He's a prankster. He's a joke. A lot of people don't know behind the scenes, like, what kind of guy he is. He could be tough. He can be hard as nails. But if he respects you and he sees that, you're doing what he's doing, then you're on a different level. Then you get that respect, and then he jokes a lot, and he's not very funny, but he tries to be. Like, he's kind of got like a dry sense of humor. But like, because we used to go at it. All of us used to go at it, and we call it the dozens. We grew up, we call it the dozens. And so you go head up against people, talk about a person's shoes, their clothes, their hairstyle, whatever. And Michael was always the worst at it, but it was like one of those things that it wasn't funny, and you really shouldn't laugh, but it's like, when the king laughs, all the subjects have to laugh too. Oh, that was a great one, Michael. I'll be like, man, that sucked. That was terrible. Y'all so afraid of this guy. It wasn't even funny, but he does have a sense of humor, though.
So one night I'm out in North Carolina. I've been there for 2 days trying to lasso him because we had to finish a book. and he's playing with all his boys, and they had a big golf tournament, and he had a car dealership at the time. So he has all these cars delivered. There are a couple NFL guys, Charles Oakley, like 7, 8, 9 guys. We finally leave this hotel at 10:30 on a Sunday night, and we have to drive to some other city. And it's pitch black, 2-lane highway, and these guys are running right up on each other, messing with each other, 110 miles an hour. And I'm sitting in the passenger seat with Michael, and he can see me, like you feel like there's a break over there, but you don't have a break.
Yeah. You wish there
And
was a break.
Yeah. And he says, "What's wrong? Are you nervous?" And I said, "Well, I was until I realized I'm going to die with Michael, but I'm going to die with Michael Jordan." Doesn't even pause, and he goes, "Yeah, and you know what the papers will say? Michael Jordan and an unnamed passenger."
That's right.
Of course, he was right.
Yeah. New York Times best-selling author. Doesn't matter. You were with Michael Jordan. You're just the other guy in the vehicle, right?
Exactly.
Mark, before we let you go, tell the folks a little bit about your new book. Again, The Last Excellent Man, how they can get it, and give us a thumbnail, what it's about.
Yeah, the best place to get it is Amazon. And it's a meditation on excellence and in what it takes, and the people who I've been fortunate enough to be around. Michael's one of them, spent an inordinate amount of time with him, but Mario Andretti, Johnny Cash. I've observed a lot of people that I've been curious about, sort of why them, and that's what I'm really trying to answer in the book. And then the subtitle, the meaning of our Jordan year, is it was a really substantial, and I think, end of an epoch at the end of 22, when you had Chat GPT come in, and then you had the war going on in Europe, first time in 75 years. Then you have the Israeli and Hamas, the horrible Hamas attack in late 23. And it's just this transitional year, and so that's what it's about.
And the folks that would like to get your Michael Jordan books, maybe you could drop those titles for us.
Yeah, and they're all the books are in the front of this book, but For the Love of the Game, Rare Air, and Driven from Within, which was when the 20th shoe came out, and I Can't Accept Not Trying, which was a little we did when he went to play baseball. So
Yeah, I got one last question. I know people don't see as much of Michael Jordan anymore, since he's sold his interest in the Charlotte team. He doesn't do a lot of interviews anymore. I know he's involved in NASCAR. He seems to get a lot of joy out of that. When you talk to him now, do you get the sense he's happy? I mean, he's got a young family now, and he's got a kind of a different life. But he's kind of disappeared from the public. It's almost like Howard Hughes. You get the sense that he's a happy man now?
I think he is. I went down and saw him at his golf club last year, and it was fun. You know how serious he is as a
Oh,
as
yeah,
a
yeah.
The oddest thing is he was coming up the 9th hole and the 10th tee off is right outside this beautiful building where with the bar, the restaurant, and all that. And here comes 3 or 4 golf carts. So it was like an 8-some or a 6-some or something. They all had boom boxes. Nobody turned them off when they took their shots. And it was just so, it was like a guy who could have his own golf. It was like a little kid, kind of, in a way. And then later, it was really, I really got a sense of how much different he was or is now. I mean, I think the last book where we really spent any time together was in 2006, so it was 18 years prior. And then, well, probably the when he went into the Hall of Fame, but he's a multi-billionaire, and it's different. It's different. I can't really describe it, except the people sitting around the table where we were sitting, that was the kind of world they were used to. Needless to say, not me, but yeah, I think he is. I think he is happy. I think he's content.
Yeah, it's like the line from the old Joe Walsh song, "Everybody's so different, I haven't changed." You know, we all put these perceptions on people that we think they're so different, but they're living their lives, you know, the best way they can. Mark, we appreciate you joining us. We love your work, and we encourage everyone to get The Last Excellent Man and be a great gift for the holidays. Mark, thank you so much for joining us, and we really enjoyed the reflections on your time covering the great one, Michael Jordan.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Take good care. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you as well. Mark Vancil, our guest on Gimme the Hot Sauce. We are contractually obligated to talk about the Bears. That's next on Gimme the Hot Sauce.
Oh, no, Lord have mercy.
Gimme the Hot Sauce rolls on. I want to thank Mark Vancil for joining us. Some great reflections on his time with Michael Jordan. Unfortunately, we don't have great reflections on our time with the Bears. I mean, they made the coaching change. They fired Matt Eberflus. Everyone thought Thomas Brown was going to circle the wagons. They were going to come out with this inspired effort. They get 4 yards in the first half and are now 24-0 in San Francisco.
Go ahead, Tim.
It's just that start of the game.
Oh,
One run.
Yeah.
And then what was it? A failed run in the backfield and then a sack. What?
Yeah.
That was your energy? That's how you come out? That's your plan?
4 yards.
Yeah, 4 yards. Well, it was negative yards into the second quarter. So it was shocking. And then you look at a depleted 49ers team, and then you say, okay, outclassed, outcoached, outplayed. I mean, what position can you pick any element of the game where the Bears outplayed the other?
None.
That's nothing to look forward to then.
And everyone, you know, now you wonder, maybe it wasn't all Flus's fault. You know, you got a lot of players quitting on him. But I guess the coach sets the tone for that. You've probably, well, not with the Bulls, but you've probably been on teams that kind of quit on the coach. And you think we're seeing that with the Bears?
Are they the Timberwolves?
Well, you know, it's like one of those little adages we used to say, 1, 2, 3. When you say 1, 2, 3, go team. They're like 1, 2, 3, Cancun.
Yeah,
They've already, they're already saying that right now. They're ready to go on vacation. Yeah. It's sad too because you know, listen, that team had high expectations this year. You know, it wasn't all Justin Fields' fault. Now, as we're starting to realize, it's not a lot of people's fault. It's an organizational fault.
Yeah, it starts right at the top.
Starts from the top. Starts with the decision making. Unless you get that fixed, you're going to have the same problem year after year after year after year. It does not matter who you bring in here. You can bring in a top-level coach. You can bring in a coach that you think, a young coach that you think can take this team. It's going to be the same problem because you just keep – it's like Chicago when we talk about the potholes. Instead of fixing the potholes at the core and so you don't have to do it for another 10 years, they just put a sheet over it, and the next thing you know, the next year comes, another pothole's bigger than it was before. But you just let it you just keep patching it, and you get the same results. It's going to be a hole wrecking people's car. It's no different here with the Bears. You just keep doing the same things over and over and over. You thought you addressed by getting this kid weapons, but the main thing you should have worked on was getting him an offensive line and really getting some talent evaluations in that department because we thought Poles was the guy to do that. He's a former offensive lineman. He was with the Chiefs. You think he would have been an expert at that. Well, lo and behold, he wasn't.
Well, he thought he could spot the bargains, all these fourth-round picks.
So you buy cheap, get cheated, America. You know, that's why I tell people all the time, you know, go get to know the off-brand thing and think, you know, it's great for like, you know, a little bit. Then all of a sudden, it breaks on you.
Jalen Carter.
No warranty.
Should we talk about Jalen Carter now?
Oh.
And character issues, because wasn't them Poles pick Chase Claypool? What did he have? Character issues?
He got traded for.
So would you rather, if you're going to have a guy with character issues, do you want a star or do you want some guy who quits on you?
Well, you know, a lot of the Bears organization, you know, going back to the Hard Knocks thing, they didn't want their players swearing. They wanted all that edited out. They didn't want to show any fights during it. They want coaches that are well behaved and aren't going to.
You need,
cause
Mark.
problems.
I'm telling you right now, in order to win in this league, you need some controversy. You need coaches that will get in your ass. You need players that will hold players accountable that will get in your ass. Like when the kid, you know, messed up that that Hail Mary. Stevenson. All the players should have been on him. All the leaders in that locker room should have been on him.
Been out for the next game.
You know what? You cost us this game. That one stupid individual thing that you
haven't won since.
And we haven't won since, and the team has gone down. I'm telling you, when you're on a championship team, people hold you accountable. I can only speak because I can say I was on a championship team, and I know how it was being in that locker room. Phil didn't have to worry about telling us what to do and how to come out and play. The players did. You know, you got Michael. You don't want to piss Michael off. You don't want to piss Bill Cartwright off. You know, you do what you're supposed to do. You have an assignment, a job to do. Go out there and do it to the best of your ability. If you don't and you cut corners, you're going to hear about it. You're going to lose playing time. there has to be some accountability in that locker room when guys are not being held accountable by the coaching staff. Veteran players have to step up and go, hey, man, no, we don't do it this way. You got to come ready to play every Sunday. This is what you get paid for.
And there's a good chance, look at the remaining schedule, the Bears could lose out. That would mean they would finish 4-13 with, a 11-game losing streak to end the season. I mean, and then Ryan Poles has one more year left on his contract as general manager. They talk about, well, we're going to go to Detroit and we're going to hire their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson.
He ain't coming
Who's
here.
to say Ben Johnson even wants to come anywhere
exactly.
near this job?
But here's the thing, though, about this. Do they get a high pick if they finish out and they lose?
Yeah, they get a top 5
so
pick.
that's the only bright spot right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe this year they do what they should have did last year. Trade down, get assets. That's what they should have done. Draft the receiver. Marvin Williams if you wanted him. Udunze seems like he's better right now in his first year, so
He's coming on.
who would have known? But keep Fields, draft, move down, get you some assets, get offensive line. You already got the receivers, and just build your team that way with the assets. Look at Detroit. That's what Detroit has done. Detroit is like, hey, they're drafting guys. They're trading picks. They're moving and shaking in the draft, and they're getting multiple picks because your team is your best players are going to be the guys in the 3rd round on down. Okay, unless you get a bona fide stud at number 1 as a quarterback could be, the rest of your best players are going to be the heart of your team is going to be 3rd round on down. So start building up.
They took that kid Penei Sewell, and he is just a monster. You see the game last Thursday where they're going on 4th down every time, and they just run right behind Sewell, and they get the
just
first down.
what a tackle can be is people forget that's a critical position when you're trying to run the ball, and if you can't run the ball, that's one of the 4 pillars of the game. And we can't run the ball. We can't defend the pass. We can't.
Other than that, though, everything's good.
We don't have a consistent pass rush. Sweat is like kind of disappeared.
He's been neutralized.
He's been neutralized. There's no, and they could have used another rusher on the outside to help him out. And I think they've been fooled by the way the defense has played in the past, last year and coming into this year, that they're like, oh, we don't need to address that.
Yeah.
Man, you can always get better. You can always get upgrades, and you have to spend some money. I mean, if you want to win a championship, are you just content being, dead last in your division every year, getting beat by the Packers 2 times? Now you're getting beat by Minnesota 2 times. Now you're getting beat by Detroit. I mean, if that's what you want to do, then stay status quo. But if you really want to win and you really want to put a product out there that's got a chance to compete every single year and win your division, because they haven't won a division since Lovie Smith was a coach?
Right.
No. They won a few
they won
years
it
ago.
with the 1 year with, even forgot his name now, Matt Nagy.
They won their division with Matt
Nagy.
Nagy?
They were the best defense in the league.
They were like 13-3.
They should have gone to the Super Bowl.
I forgot about that.
That was the double doink year where they
double
lost.
doink. The Mr.
Oh, they lost to the Eagles?
At home.
Oh, that's right.
They won the division that year.
I was so traumatized, but I forgot that year.
And then they went right in the tank the next year.
Oh, wow. I totally forgot about that. When you brought up the double doink to Philadelphia, that's when I was like, oh.
The great Cody Parkey.
Listen, man, don't blame Cody Parkey.
Yeah, I will blame him.
You know what? Cody Parker's a guest next week, and once you tell that in his face,
I will.
He's coming in the studio. I dare you to tell him it was his fault. I want you to tell him in his face that he sucks and it was his fault.
You know what? I'll double doink his face. How's that?
When he throw punch your ass, I'm gonna laugh. Don't be surprised, like just because he's a kicker, don't mean he's not a black belt, baby.
Well, you gotta turn sideways. Get that Muay Thai stance.
Okay. See how you are. You gonna talk trash to a guest? We had Parky. You gonna talk trash to him? Wow.
Well, sometimes you gotta blame somebody.
You're a bully.
Hey, the 12-team college football playoff gets going in about 10 days. What did you think of the bracket, and who you like?
Oh, it's set up for Georgia to win. It's set up. Georgia got the easiest.
Quarterback's hurt though.
They got another set. Look at the brackets.
Watch out for
Indiana,
SMU.
Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to win that game. They're going to play Georgia.
And
Georgia's going to mollywop them.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get to that semifinals. They're going to end up
Penn
probably
State,
playing Penn State, which they're going to beat Penn State. So they got the easiest trip. Texas, you got to feel for Texas. Texas and Oregon. Those 2 teams have been like 2 of the best teams all year long. And they've got, you got a Clemson team that can surprise you. You got a Tennessee team that's a lot better than what what people perceive. That's going to be a tough. Ohio State should get out of that round and play Oregon. And they had a doozy up in
it was a 1-point game.
It was a 1-point
in
game.
Eugene, yeah.
So, I mean, that could go do it. But I think Georgia and Texas. I think Texas will be in the finals, and I think Georgia will. That SEC championship game, Texas should have won that. They outplayed Georgia.
So they could play for a third time, maybe.
They play for a third time. They should have won that game. So it's going to be Georgia and Texas, I think.
What do you think, Whispers?
I'm saying watch out for SMU.
Oh,
Come on now.
Hell no.
Come on, that would be fun though.
I
Go,
think-
go Mustangs.
Listen, I honestly listen. These automatic bids. This is why Oklahoma fans are kicking themselves right now, because the Big 12 has an automatic route to get there. But we decided that we want to take more money and we want to go to SEC where all the alligators are, and want to go down there and play. Well, how'd that work out for us, Sooners?
How you like all the conversation over the weekend? They said, the reason Alabama didn't make it is how in the hell could they lose to that Oklahoma team
Well,
That's true.
That's kind of messed up.
by 3
You know what?
touchdowns?
Let me tell you
And
something.
Vandy
But that's
Give
what
them-
they were saying all weekend.
Let me tell you something.
at Oklahoma.
Now, either one of these teams could beat at least 4 of those teams in there. That's what I
Alabama
think.
and Miami?
I mean, Miami and Alabama could beat at least. I think they beat Clemson. I think they beat Arizona State. I think they beat SMU, and I think they beat Notre Dame. I think they would beat those 4 teams. It should honestly be the best teams. It should be the best teams. I don't care if it's their 3-loss team. You got to base on where their conference is at. If someone loses 2 games in the SEC, that's like going undefeated in the Big 12 or somewhere else. You got to hold that. You got to give them a little bit of credit, because that's like a playoff game every night, because every SEC team is a monster. Look at it. It's evident now. Tennessee's in
Miss.
there.
South Carolina. Yeah.
South Carolina just missed.
Really strong. Yeah, didn't they just beat 3 top 25 teams in a
South
row?
Carolina, yeah, they had a legitimate argument to get in.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So just open it up to 16. Get the best 16. Let's go. Because that's where eventually it's going to go.
Right.
They're
it'll
going to
go
see it. They're going to
16.
see how this is going to go. And then it's going to go to 16.
Well,
and that's the way it should be.
Isn't that why they left Alabama out? So the argument is to move 16 up
probably.
a year.
Hey, you know what? As long as there's more games to watch, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and they're good games. They're good teams. Now, my thing is, how are they gonna still keep the bowl system in?
They still have the bowl.
So 2 teams will play in the Orange Bowl, 2 teams play in the Rose
when
Bowl.
you get to the quarterfinals, then it's the bowls.
Okay, yeah,
There's
but
the Gimme the Hot Sauce Bowl is next year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
We'll be
Look at that.
sponsoring one.
See, there's
Jeff
it right there.
Vukovic is the
Yeah.
sponsor.
Look at that. There's it right there. That's nice. Yeah, so I think it is going to go to 16 at some point, maybe in a year or 2, because it's more money. It's all about the money. It's all about how much money they can make.
And hey, if you're watching on YouTube, we got to shout out our guy Cisco. Look at all the graphics he's preparing. He's running the
it's
board
amazing.
by himself. He's bringing in our guest. He's going to be doing color on DePaul basketball tonight. I mean, he's doing it all. Cisco is the man.
Cisco has come a long way from shining shoes to
He's got rid of his tight shorts.
He's got
Yeah,
away
yeah,
from
we'll
his
get him
tight
some new
shorts.
shorts,
He got
right?
some new clothes. He's walking around with his freshman T-shirt, his PE T-shirt on from Mount Prospect High School, and the guy has really grown and matured, and he's done a great job. Come a long way. I'm seriously, both him and D.
Yeah.
They started in different positions when they first started, and now they pretty much can do anything. So that makes them more valuable. So if anybody out there is hiring, we have 2 guys out here that can work behind the boards and do sounds and all kind of things. So we hate to lose them, but if it's gonna put some money in their pocket, let them go get that bag.
Yeah, shout out to Cisco and D. And on that note, I think, we're going to tell you a couple things we're watching. I'll start us off.
Yeah, start us off,
New
Mark.
series at Paramount Plus, Landman, Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I watched the first couple episodes. It's good.
He's an oil man. He's kind of typecast. He's a fixer for this oil company. John Hamm plays the president of the oil company. And, he's just so good in those roles. He's kind of the same guy in everything he does.
Yeah.
But still, he's such a smart ass. It just makes you laugh and watch some of the lines.
Good to
they
see
give
Demi
him.
Moore back, huh?
Yeah.
Is
She has
Yeah.
no lines though. She's his John Hamm's wife. Has she said anything?
Not yet.
I've watched the first 5 episodes.
Looks
She
good.
barely
Maybe
says anything.
she's just eye candy,
No, I guess that's
And a
about it.
name.
That's right.
walking around.
Yeah.
But it's a good show. Check it out.
I'm gonna check it out. I heard about it. All right, I'm watching Yellowstone. I finally got back to
Yeah, way to
Yellowstone, and I'm telling you right now, man, they got him. They
Yeah.
got my man right there, JD. Man,
First
they got
5
him.
minutes, man.
They got him.
See who else they got? How far are you? along?
I told
No,
him
we
last
already
week.
told me, man.
All
All
right.
right,
I dropped it on him.
Spoiler alert.
they got our guy. They got
Dan
him.
Richards won't be
Go
back.
be-
Yeah, I tell you what, man. See, I just thought it was in horror movies. The black guy got killed and didn't make it to the end.
It was
Now
kind of like
it's
a horror
in TV
movie.
now. Now it's in TV.
He
Yellowstone.
gets kicked by a horse too. What a way to go out.
I was going to say he was murdered by a horse.
Wow,
it was awful.
oh, it's terrible,
I was
man.
crying and everything.
You cried?
Oh, of course.
Oh,
That was our
man.
guy.
You're a sensitive guy.
Yeah, check out the episode with Denham Richards. It's in our library.
But it's a great Yellowstone is still going to be good though, because long as Beth's
Oh yeah,
there,
yeah. Beth is the
and
best.
Beth is getting ready. Oh man, her and Jamie.
Oh,
Jamie, man, she
Yeah.
walked in his office the other day after she found out her dad died.
Yeah.
She automatically knew it was him.
yeah.
She walked in his office and just bitch slapped him like
Slapped the
5
tooth
times.
out.
Pop, pop, pop. And then so the girlfriend, the girl that orchestrated everything,
Yeah.
she comes in with a smirk on her face and says, Beth was ready to go right from the start.
Yeah.
So the girl makes a snide comment. And then all of a sudden, Beth just choked her like Tim's dad did him when he was driving the Rolls Royce, and then jacked her up against the wall and like squeezing her. Remember that, don't you?
Oh,
yeah.
It's very familiar.
But that scene typifies what Beth is all about because she's got such range as an actress. Like sometimes she seems broken, sometimes she's crying, and she seems weak, and the other times she's beating people's asses. Like she beat Kevin Costner's girlfriend's ass early in the series and beat her. Piper Perabo whooped her ass.
Well, stay tuned, Stacey. It gets better.
Oh man,
it's good.
Oh, don't tell me anymore, man.
No more.
Yeah, those 2 guys that played vampires in previous movies are, you know what I'm talking about. The 2 guys, Grimes and Hauser, played vampires in previous roles, and
Okay.
now they're coming back. They're going to kill a lot of people coming up.
Oh, you talking about Cole Hauser?
Yeah.
Oh, Rip.
Yeah, Rip.
Oh, Rip's gonna be on a tear. You can already
Oh,
tell.
yeah.
You can already tell where Rip was going. Rip already. He's
but the brother's getting set too. He's getting his.
Because the old man. What's the old man's name? The old ranch hand.
Shit. I want to say
with the nice mustache.
Yeah, I forget his name on the show. Yeah.
So Lloyd.
Yeah.
So Lloyd's asking Rip, who we got to kill.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's going to the train station?
He goes. Lloyd, I really don't know yet, but we're gonna find out.
And they're gonna find out.
And Casey's starting to dig into what's going on because his background is a assassin. So he's special forces. So he has connections all over the place. So he calls up a buddy. Buddy said, "Yeah, this XYZ program. A couple guys run this program. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So they're getting ready to get exposed, and there's gonna be a war in Yellowstone, baby. And I'm always gonna be pro Beth, baby, and Rip. If you need me, call me. They killed my man. I'll be on the show. I'll be the next black guy on the show. Y'all just promise y'all gotta let me get to the end. Y'all can't kill me.
You look good on a horse.
Hey, I get a Clydesdale.
Especially with that shirt.
I ride a Clydesdale.
You got the shirt. You just
Okay,
need
listen,
the hat.
man. You know what? You talk about this shirt. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all, America. This shirt is warm. It's cold outside, as you can see. I got nice little duck interior in here.
Very absorbent.
You know what? This is why when the guy's not here. Yeah. This is why the show is so much better when he's not here. So go back in the office and go do what you're doing. Me and Mark is running the show here. Okay, but it's glad to have you back.
Yeah,
but don't be back next week.
So you're not gonna make me cry again.
What do you got for the folks?
Alien Romulus.
Okay.
This is the latest in the series. I don't know if that's number 10 or something. It's well done. They do a little bit where they go back and like to the old school kind of spaceships and everything. It's like a throwback to the past. And it's like 16 years or 18 years after the space station, and they go back in there, and there's plenty of aliens. Oh yeah. But it's pretty well. I mean, if you like that stuff, it's just like they can keep making Predators and all those. I'll still tune into them. I don't care. But this was better than the last one.
Yeah, so it's the holiday season, and Whispers is watching people get their faces torn off. So that's great.
Yeah, I love it.
Or they're dropping eggs down their throat. That's those little things.
You
suck on your face.
You get another one of the chest poppers in this one.
That's brutal. Seriously.
Oh yeah.
As soon as you see one of the little bitty that thing looks like, what it looks like. That thing come flying at you and it flies on your face. All of a sudden, bloop, bloop, bloop,
yeah, Tums,
they drop some eggs on you.
Tums isn't gonna fix that.
No, ain't nothing gonna fix that. But Alka-Seltzer said nothing.
That's some serious indigestion.
And all of a sudden, it's right out the chest, and I know that's gotta hurt. Ooh, that's gotta hurt, man.
And this one looks at him for a while, like comes out and
mommy. No, you're not my mommy. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, folks, we hope you enjoy the holidays. Get the family gathered around and watch some Alien Romulus. That'll cheer everybody up. We'll have
it's
a light
chestnuts roasting by the open fire.
There you go. All right, so make sure that you get your orders in. GimmeTheHotSauce.com. Whispers will lovingly pack it up in the back closet.
Stocking stuffers.
Holiday code, get half off.
Yeah.
So.
What's the holiday code?
Just holiday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Holiday.
It would be so fine.
That's right.
All right, we've done all the damage we can. New show coming up next week. I want to thank Mark Vancil. Run out and get his book, The Last Excellent Man, and we'll have another excellent show coming up next week. For Cisco and D, so long, everybody.
Drive home safely. Hey, what's up? This is Stacey King
And I'm Timmy Whispers.
of Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Each week, make sure you join us. Timmy Whispers, what do you need to hit?
They need to hit like and subscribe so they get all the notifications and news from our podcast.
That boy is sweet. Just make sure when the video's over, click to the left, and you'll hear our previous videos for the previous week and have some fun because we'd love to have fun on Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast.
Woohoo!
Oh my goodness! It's only preseason, but I'm hyped, Neil Thought, Jimmy G,